Wow. Happy Wednesday. Uh, Welcome to Eight Questions with. I'm your host, Patrick. It is currently 17 degrees outside as I start the show. We have had 2 days of blistering cold weather with heavy winds. And in fact, they actually blew my trash cans away. I have no idea where they're at. I'm going to have to look for them. Otherwise, they're going to have to replace them because they needed to secure my trash cans. Um, Dumping them in a heavy wind. Yeah, all our trash cans were scattered from here to hell. Well, anyway, that's real world problems, I guess. But like I said, welcome to the show. Ta-da! Tonight we have our good friend Anthony from Fever Dreamland Theater will be here. You might know Anthony from not only his channel, but also he's part of the international. I like saying that too, part of the international cinema squad. Because you guys are right. Because you guys are here and you're in England. That's international. uh, I really enjoy Anthony's channel quite a bit. He loves the Twilight Zone much like I do, and I'm always going over there and reading his reviews. They're spotless. They're some of the best I've ever read about or listened to about the series. Um, Him and I have talked about our favorite episodes, um, including the really ironic one of the most famous episodes and that ran was "It's a Good Thing, Billy." Well, what's really interesting is that the show after that is probably the very best show of the whole series, and that was probably Death Heads Revisited. We thought that was really interesting. But Twilight Zone is just one of many things that Anthony covers. He talks about other films and other series as well, and we'll definitely be talking about that because, uh, yeah, um, it's really cool to see someone like Anthony carry the torch. Like most people here are, me being an old man of this community. It's good to see someone younger carry the torch because the Twilight Zone is not a flashy show. It is one of the best written shows in TV history. But if you go look at it now, most kids look at it now. Young people, all they see is an old black and white series. A lot of dialogue, not very much action or anything else like that. And so, unfortunately, in our video game society, there's they're tempted to just blow it off. Like, okay, there's nothing happening here. This isn't the Marvel. This isn't the MCU. Um, and so when you get someone like Anthony who champions the show like this, it it gives me hope. It gives me hope. Um, as far as knowing that a show like Twilight Zone will always have a place. I am doing some typing here, and don't forgive me for this for real quick. Yesterday we had Mike Ferguson come back to the show, and we actually didn't go up till exactly 8 o'clock sharp. Normally, I do a 15-minute pre-show, and hey, Mr. Dan Ahora, Jennifer, um, I do a little pre-show before the guest gets here. I didn't get to do that yesterday, so I'm going to take advantage of my situation here now to talk about the calendar because I really didn't get to do that much either. I didn't get to do that very much either yesterday either. All right, it's cold in here. That's probably why I'm all mixed up. So, as you well know, today is the 5th of January. Um, Tomorrow, we'll close out our week, we have actress Elaine Huntington will be here tomorrow night. She is an actress producer down in New Orleans, Louisiana, and some of you might know her from her work from Exorcist Shark or Shark Exorcist. Boy, I'm really tongue tied today. So she starred in Shark Exorcist on Wild Eye, which is a really fun movie. cult favorite now. I don't know if it's as quite as beloved as our Ouija shark, but it's in the same zip code. And then next week on the 11th, on next Tuesday, we welcome in Jennifer Blanc to the show. Jennifer Blanc has starred in several excellent films, The Divide, The Victim. She's also starred in Everly. She worked, and that was directed by Joe Lynch, one of our very favorite directors. And also stars Salma Hayek. She'll be here. Um, Talking about her career and what it's like raising a family, a youngster in the land of COVID. So she'll be here on the 11th at 8 o'clock, and then on the 12th we have the return of actor Timothy Cox. He'll be here, um, catching up with us on what he's been doing. He is still staying very very busy and very much in demand, so that's a good thing. So we'll catch up with Timothy. And that will be a week from tonight at 8 o'clock. On the 13th, Thursday, we welcome in Sherry Davis from the Amityville Moon, among other films. She'll be here. She'll be talking about her career and how she's balancing a very hectic life. Yeah, Sherry Davis is a saint. She's working very hard at her life right now, and so we'll be happy to talk to her and find out what it was like to face werewolves. And then on the 14th, we do have a special show on the 14th. On February 14th at 8 o'clock, we will be talking to Rachel Warrior Woman Ferguson. She is a housewife from New Zealand. Why am I interviewing a housewife from New Zealand? Well, because Rachel Ferguson is a cancer survivor, and she's fighting cancer now. I believe she might be in remission. She's also trying to raise awareness to bowel cancer. It's not a cancer that very many people talk about, and they don't put little pink colors on it and sell pizza out of it. It's a very low key disease, as far as research goes and everything else like that. That's right. Cancer research is driven mostly by breast cancer. If we get the scraps, they're lucky. So we'll be talking about that and how she's been doing, to raise awareness in her own country and internationally. So Rachel Ferguson will be here on the 14th. And then on the 18th, we have a double header. We have not had one of these in a minute, but we are having a double header. We are heading to Norway. Hey, Phil. Greetings, sir. Feel free to share us out if you like to. As you might notice, I'm only 4 away from 500. Four subs away from 500. I can't believe that. This has been crazy. But you know how that works, right? You got to have like 400. You got to have like 10 over your goal. But if I get to like 510, then I'll be having a community tab. Hell yes, I want that community tab. But we'll be talking to Norwegian screenwriter and director Kel Hamarero. I'm sure I'm killing that name. But he has a brand new film out called Entombed. And so we'll be talking about his career. We talk about his brand new film right there, Entombed, and we'll find out why he filmed it in English, even though it's a Norwegian production. Fascinating story. And then on the 18th, the nightcap, we'll see us invite our good friend Eric Hyde will be here. Hey, Internet, it's Eric. He'll be here talking about his YouTube channel. We're talking about cartoons, films that he loves that nobody else knows about, and some other surprises. And then on the 19th, we have Heroic Waffles will be here. Michael Lysak will be here. As you know him as Heroic Waffles. He'll be here on the 19th at 8 o'clock, and we'll be talking about films, of course. He'll shelf his collection because that guy has a massive collection, and and he knows how to find the deals too. And I do believe soon we'll be seeing the launch of a new show here on the tube called Rejected Waffles, and that will be Waffles and Reject Films will be teaming up to do a movie show. And then on the 20th, we have Don Anelli will be here with us for the Horror Countdown. Don is a new friend of mine. We met each other at Horror Lodge, and we've been talking, and so we decided to take our talk a little bit and bring it over to you guys so you can meet Don, and we'll talk about women in horror. We'll talk about the interviewing process. We'll talk about how we land our guests. Not as easy as it appears to be. So that'll be on the 20th. And then another special show. I'm telling you the whole month here. Another special show on the 24th, which is a Monday. We welcome in actor Leo Olivia. He is a very, very hardworking, very driven actor. One of the best I've seen. He did a film that I reviewed a long time ago, a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago, called The Shift, and it marked him as an actor to watch. He reminds me very much of Clifton Collins Jr., John Leguizamo. He's that type of actor that's just everything he does 100%, and he goes balls out for it, be it film or theater. And then on the 25th, we have the lovely Jamie Hart will join us. We'll talk Twin Peaks. We'll talk films. We'll have fun. And then on the 26th, my good friend Stephen Foster will come by for the first time. And he is a playwright actor. He writes original plays. That is a rare thing to see today. Rare. But he is an award-winning playwright. He's won many awards for his skills. And he'll be here on the 26th. And then on the last show of the month, I had to go out there. I had to get the co-creator of one of my favorite characters I've ever had to review, Duke, the prettiest damn unicorn you've ever seen. Yes, we have Miss Eileen Isley will be here with us on 8 p.m. on January 27th. So we still have a crackling good month ahead of us. I mean, totally excited about it. And of course, we also have news about the Midnight Hour, which you guys know that I also once in a while will pop up on, and that is that we are moving the Midnight Hour from Sunday to Thursdays. We will be moving it Sundays to Thursdays. Why not? There's nobody has the spot, and so we decided to go ahead and move the show. Sundays is a tough night to crack because most people on Sundays, they are going to bed early. They go to work. So sometimes we lose our audience. We get a good audience for the first hour or so, but then it slowly peters away because most people are going to bed. So by moving it to Thursday, hopefully we'll get a few more people that are staying up. So that's what's going to happen. So it'll be 10 o'clock. That won't affect me here. I'll still be doing 8 questions with. So that will be here from 8 to 10. You know, if I had to run over a little bit, it'll be 8 to 10. So as soon as I do the show here, then you guys can turn around and see my ass again in a few minutes when I pop up there and on the Midnight Hour. Yeah. So let me see. I'm going to make sure that he's able to get in here. Okay, good. He didn't say anything. All right. Oh, just in time. Let's welcome our good friend Anthony. Oh, just in time.
Hey.
Let's welcome our good friend Anthony.
All right, Patrick.
Hello.
All right.
All right.
Good. How are you doing, sir?
How are you? Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much for having me. It's good to see you. It's good to be here.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this ever since I was like in my head I have like a grail list of people I want to talk to. Like I want but what I've been trying to do too is I've been you want to talk to everybody you can, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the way I look at it is I'm trying to make it smart. I want it to benefit you more than anything else. And like I could have some people on when I had only like 100 people on my channel, but that would be just a waste. So to me, it's like I'm trying to build up the channel. So like when I do get a good guest such as yourself, I have an audience there for you. That's really important to me. It's really important to me that when we talk, there's an audience. Um, because that's the whole point. You want people to find. I want people to find your channel. I want
Hmm.
people to get to know who you are, and so that's the reason why it took a little longer than I had anticipated.
That's okay.
Um,
No, it's no problem at all. It gives you have a little time to grow, and I have a little time to grow, and hopefully it all comes together, right?
yes, you're a cinema squad. I had so much fun saying the internationally known cinema squad. Yeah,
Sounds good to
doesn't
me.
it sounds like a damn Kingsman spinoff, doesn't it?
That it does.
Uh, yeah, so like I said, he's part of the international cinema squad, and then and so I said, yeah, let's do this, and then and you and I, we before you joined the cinema squad, you and I were talking because I found your channel and instantly got hooked on your reviews for Twilight Zone.
Oh, yeah, okay, good. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you were one of the
Yeah,
earliest people I recall on here. I started about, I think, a little over a year and a half ago. You were already here. You were already doing your thing. A lot of people were
yeah.
that thankfully are still here, are still around. Um, I've seen if unfortunately, not everybody's still around, but yeah, it's a pleasure to see to see this community, like to see everybody grow together. It's really cool. It's been a blast, and I'm just happy to be here, man, talking with you.
Yeah, it's an absolute joy, to watch people just blossom and grow and do things that they didn't think they would be doing.
Mhm,
Like
mhm.
I didn't think I'd be doing this. No, no
Same
way.
here.
I never saw this.
No,
I never saw myself doing this at all.
no.
Um,
YouTube for me, for a lot of years was just like, I don't know, watching cats, funny do funny things, or um, which is appropriate because now I'm here with you. But but
and the cats still rule the internet.
and that they do. But yeah, or just like regular nerd stuff, like superhero stuff or whatever. So I didn't imagine myself doing this. So it's been cool. It's been quite a ride. It definitely has.
Now, obviously, you must have been, your love of the macabre and the mysterious and things like the Twilight Zone, the Outer Limits, the love of classics. I mean, was that something that came to you when you were really young? I mean, what do you remember mostly when you were growing up as far as what you watched on TV?
Here I'm in the Bronx, and here in New York, we had I guess across the country there were Twilight Zone marathons on New Year's Eve and 4th of July. And from when I was younger, those used to pop on TV, and they caught my eye pretty early on. I think they started either in the late '80s or early '90s, or at least that's when I started watching them, in the late '80s or early '90s. Here in New York, they were on Channel 11, and then eventually, I think Sci-Fi Channel was getting Twilight Zone marathons. So that's where I kind of caught on to it, and this I kind of fell in love with the show pretty early on, and I guess some years went by, and I finally caught back up on it, like on DVD and Blu-ray, and then it was streaming on Netflix. And when I decided to do a YouTube channel, it just was like, I just thought to myself, there's a couple things that I love. Star Wars is one of them. Twilight Zone is another. And I just thought, well, I don't know. Star Wars could be a divisive subject. But Twilight Zone is I don't know what that is. I guess it's more friendly, but it's such a thought provoking, timeless show with so many ideas, and there's so much there to delve into. And I'm like, why not? And as I go through and I watch each episode, I do research on it, and I try to check into it and see if I can find some any interesting trivia. And I feel like, what, if this bit of trivia that this actor also appeared here, or this episode was directed by the first, this was the Ida Lupino was one example. There was an episode that she directed, The Masks, I believe it was. If it's interesting to me, then I'm going to hope it's interesting to somebody else, and I'm going to hope that my insights are interesting, hopefully to others. And at the very least, I hope to maybe spark some conversations. If I have a theory or something about any given episode, then even if you disagree, feel free to let me know. Or if you disagree, let me know in the comment section below. So.
I knew, it was so funny. I think the first thing that you and I talked about when we ran, well, first I was as pleased as punch. And you mentioned the Twilight Zone marathons on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe that is truly the last vestige of the old Sci-Fi Channel. Yeah. I mean, when it first came on, it used to show all the old science fiction movies, all the old series, everything else. It used to show those all the time. And slowly but surely it has evolved to just like a feeder channel for, Universal Comcast. They just it's a dumping ground almost. Yeah, and but they still do the Twilight Zone marathons.
They do. I believe it was on this year, but yeah, I mean, in general, it's no wonder most people have cut the cord, so to say. When it comes to cable, and so now it's we're down to streaming, and in the case of Twilight Zone, I think a lot of people fell in love with it also even on Netflix, and now at least here in the United States, it's not on Netflix anymore. I think it's still running on Amazon Prime, and I know it's on Paramount Plus. That's mainly how I watch it through streaming, but of course I have the DVDs, and I still actually have to update to the Blu-rays.
I only got I had someone sent me the fans collection, fans favorites.
Okay.
And I got that, and I got the first season of the reboot by Jordan Peele.
Okay, that I'm still, I'm slowly working my way through that. What are your thoughts on? Have you seen a few episodes?
I've only seen the first one. I saw the glimpse of it when it first came out, so I have not revisited it yet.
Okay. Was that the comedian or the?
Yes, it was the comedian.
I actually thought that one was okay. Just curious, what did you think of that one?
I liked it. I liked the fact that he was. Unfortunately, he learned his lesson a little too late before he got absorbed into the wall. But at least he learned it,
Yeah.
And I thought it was a nice homage to The Shining, because I do believe The Shining had the same thing.
Yes, the picture of the, right. Yeah. Picture. I didn't think of that till now. So if I ever get around to reviewing that, I'm stealing that from you.
Oh, by all means. Well, you mentioned Ida Lupino, and it's like I came over and I said, yeah, Ida Lupino she was a fantastic director. She was ahead of her time. She did several episodes of Have Gun Will Travel, which is based on as my channel's name is based off that show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when I saw you mentioned about Ida Lupino, she really was ahead of her time.
Yeah.
She was just as good as a director as anybody.
Yeah.
And it's just a shame that she didn't get her. It's just a shame she was born out of time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, were your parents, were they when you were growing up, were they big science fiction fans? Were they big fantasy fans? What got you introduced to the world?
I think I mostly discovered it. I think my mom might have checked it out from time to time, but I think I mostly discovered it on my own. My dad had no problem taking us to movies that might have been R-rated or whatever as a kid in the 80s. The 80s was a real weird time because you'd go to see a Disney movie one week and then Die Hard the next, and we didn't think anything of it. But yeah, I mean, if there was a sci-fi type movie like Flight of the Navigator, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, I would go, and see that. But that was mostly it was mostly my thing. I guess I don't think that my dad was. Now that you mention it, my father, who thankfully he's still around, he was into Star Trek. Now that you mention it, yeah, and that might have been where I picked up on Star Trek late at night. When I was young, I'm a terrible sleeper. I don't get a lot of sleep at night, and I think it started when I was a little kid. I would stay awake late to watch Star Trek and The Honeymooners of all things. But that's what I loved as a kid. And Twilight Zone sometimes was mixed in there too. But yeah, I think that it might have been my dad watching Star Trek, and that might have been where that started. Now that you mention it, I haven't thought of that in a while. But
I think there's a lot of people, like especially now, there's still people, older people such as myself, and it sounds like yourself a little bit. We still remember what it was like to watch independent TV.
yes, yeah.
And you try telling people about that, like the kids today, the 20 somethings or early 30 somethings. It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, at nighttime, they used to have independent TVs and the stations. And at night, overnight, they play all these movies and all these old series. And you could just, it was tune on. And it was just like, and now there's nothing like that left.
No. I mean, even cartoons. I have two kids, and when it comes to cartoons or anything they want to watch, it's 24/7, whatever you want to watch, whenever you want to watch it. Whereas when I was a kid, cartoons was Saturday mornings and maybe after school, and that was it. I mean, not that kids should be awake at 3 a.m. watching SpongeBob anyway, but it's nice to be able to.
Yes. Have you passed on your love of fantasy and science fiction to your kids? Have they taken an interest to it?
I think so, a little bit. Yeah, well, my oldest guy is 10 years old now. He's checked out a few Twilight Zones, and thank God, thankfully he's liked them. The other one is 10, the other one is 3. So the 3-year-old,
Oh, right.
We're lucky to keep him sitting still for more than a minute. But
Right.
let alone watch William Shatner get freaked out by a man on the wing of the plane.
Now, was your favorite show growing up always Twilight Zone, or did you have a favorite during prime time?
Interesting question. Growing up, I watched a lot of Twilight Zone was definitely mixed in there from a very early age, but I watched a lot of growing up. Let me see. I'm trying to think. In the 80s and 90s, there was a lot of sitcoms on. So it would be everything from reruns of Three's Company, What's Happening, Happy Days, Odd Couple, Honeymooners. A lot of this stuff, Brady Bunch is mixed in there. I kind of grew up on a lot of that stuff. I mean, in addition to cartoons and stuff, of course. So it's a real weird mix. This is, I'm the end result of that weird mix.
Now, did you were you a reader when you were younger?
Yeah, a lot more than now. Yeah, and especially throughout high school and college, I was I don't know, but unfortunately over the last 5-10 years with the kids and life and work and things like that, I don't get a chance to sit down and read as much. It's tends to be a little more like if I'm going to do something in terms of entertainment, it's going to probably be watching a movie or maybe binge watching something on Netflix if I get a chance and if I'm awake enough to do so.
Yeah, I'm sure you've fallen. I'm sure you've fallen asleep in the chair a few times.
Even on great movies, I'll nod out. Yeah, or a great movie or a great TV show. It's so no offense to the show, whatever it is, but yeah, I'll be out like
Yeah,
a light.
I mean that is one good thing about streaming. It's like if that happens, you fall asleep during it, you just go right back and restart it again. Back in the day, it's like if you fell asleep, you had you don't know when you were going to see the episode you were going to watch again. Because
that's another thing, even from back in the days. Yeah, unless you were record, maybe if you were recording on VCR, and even that had some issues or whatever, you'd record, you'd go out, you'd hit record, and then hope for the best that it actually functioned and worked. But yeah, nowadays it's again another thing that's changed, right?
Right. Yeah. Jennifer mentioned at Nick at Night. There's some things there. Sometimes there's Nick at Night. There. That slowly started coming in. Stations they used to run a lot of syndication shows too overnights.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the older shows slowly got deeper into the night. I remember Star Trek used to come on, the original series used to come on at 11 p.m.
Okay.
But then once then our local stations they started doing syndication, and before you know it, we're watching Sheena of the Jungle. You're starting to see the new Avengers. You're starting to see the Beastmaster and all that. And a lot of the older series got pushed back deeper into the night. But yeah, I those were just different days, for sure.
Yeah.
So going back to let's talk a little bit of Star Trek first. I mean, what did you like better when you grew up? I mean, were you more of a action guy, or were you more, because like I was mentioning, the science, for people watching this Twilight Zone today, if they're new, they might lose interest because it's not, there's nothing going on. There's no explosions, there's no Thanos, or there's no Darth Vader.
Yeah, yeah.
And do you think the people, were you more of an action guy, or were you more of a dramatic guy like the Twilight Zone?
I mean, I guess looking back, I must have had more patience because it's not like anything's changed about Twilight Zone or Star Trek. I rewatch it now and I noticed that it's a slow-paced show, or there's slow-paced stories, and I'm like, why? I'm surprised I watched this as a kid. I mean, maybe who knows? Maybe my memory's foggy and I may have zoned out a bit here and there, but I probably was attracted more to the action as a kid, whereas now I have a little more patience. I'm fine with a slow burn TV show. I'm fine with a slow burn movie, as long as it's executed well.
I
Um,
I think Twilight Zone, as far as back in the day TV shows, it definitely is a top 5 show, regardless what genre it is.
yeah, well, I mean, it is timeless in a sense. I mean, it's a shame if people are put off by it simply because it's black and white, or because it's an older show, or it's in some ways it's a product. Maybe it's a product of its time. Fair enough, but I mean, to me, a good story is a good story. I mean, if it's written now, or if it was written 100 years ago, and a good story can be in any medium, whether it's a book or a TV show or a movie, it can be anywhere. And to me, it doesn't matter if that it's what is it, 60 plus years old show. That's fine. I mean, actually, in a way, that's part of the appeal. That's part of the charm, because there's all of these little things, and sometimes there'll be an expression that somebody uses, and I'm like, I have no idea, what that expression, like who that's referring to or whatever. And maybe I'll hit Wikipedia and look it up or whatever. That's fine. I'll go down a rabbit hole on something that I saw on Twilight Zone or one of these older shows, and that's, to me, that's actually just part. That's an extra layer. That adds an extra layer. It's a part of the appeal. It's a part of the charm. With these older TV shows. But at the same time, I love modern stuff as well, because now it's like, hey, look, they're using an iPhone. I know that. I have an iPhone, so you can relate in all kinds of ways. But yeah,
I think there has to be a happy medium for both. I will say that I think it's great. I mean, there's a lot of retro stations out there now. Like that run all the old shows. Like Cozy or WeTV or whatnot, and that's all they show. They show the classics from back in the day. It's like before. That's what we used to watch back when we were growing up, when we come home from school, whatnot. Now they have whole TV stations built around those classic shows.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Well, there's a market for it. So yeah, I mean, there's an audience for it still. Why not? I mean, Columbo is another one. I am a huge Columbo fan. I would love to knock out some Columbo reviews. I don't know how much of a demand there is for that per se. And there was a lot of actors here and there between Columbo and Twilight Zone, because you're talking about the same era. Columbo was in the 70s, right? Twilight Zone's 60s. So yeah, you
oh my God.
with a lot of.
I remember having my mind blown as a kid, because back when I was a kid, I used to watch. I watched. I remember seeing Dick Van Dyke. He had the Dick Van Dyke Show, and then he was funny there, and then he did Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and he did Mary Poppins, and he was always happy go lucky and everything else. And next thing you know, I see him on Columbo, and he's playing a devious killer. The
That's
photographer.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Leonard Nimoy too. Was Leonard Nimoy popped up on there? Was Leslie Nielsen on one too? I feel
no. See, people don't forget. We have to remind people this. People see Leslie Nielsen, they see him from Airplane, they go like, "Oh, Leslie Nielsen, what a funny guy!" And it's like, no, Leslie Nielsen used to be. First and foremost, Leslie Nielsen starred in one of the most famous science fiction movies ever, and that was Forbidden Planet. So, and that came out in 1956. So he was known as a serious actor then, and but he used to do every episodic TV show in the 70s. He's always the bad guy, or he's played a cop, or most of the time he played a heavy.
Yeah.
When he went up and played an Airplane, he played against type. That was Leslie Nielsen was not thought of as a comedian at all. I mean, nobody was. Robert Stack wasn't. Lloyd Bridges wasn't. They were all. That's what made it work, because they were all known for their dramatic chops. And then you put all these guys in funny situations and give them some funny ass lines, and next thing you know, their whole career got revitalized.
Oh, in the case of Leslie Nielsen, absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, yeah, Airplane was huge. I mostly knew him from the Naked Gun movies as well. So
yeah,
yeah, that and yes, to go back and see him in some of these other roles, it's actually a lot of fun.
it is. I caught him in a streets of San Francisco where he played an alcoholic cop, and it led to his partner getting killed.
Oh boy,
And man, it was heavy. It was
yeah,
like a heavy show. It was like, damn, it's like it certainly wasn't Don't Call Me Shirley, in that episode. But it's so fun to want to be able to go back to some of these shows like the Twilight Zone just had a marvelous cast.
yeah,
Holy shit, a who's who of Hollywood, golden,
yeah.
I mean, you name it, they were there.
Yeah, Burgess
Uh,
Meredith, Jack Klugman, Robert Redford. So yeah, there was a ton of big names, or at least they would go on to become big names.
yes,
Yeah,
yes. William Shatner, of course,
William Shatner,
obviously,
yeah,
he did two very well known episodes.
yeah.
Uh, One of my top 5 episodes was two with Charles Bronson and Elizabeth Montgomery.
Yes, that one. I'm a little less familiar with that one, but yeah, I remember that being a pretty good one. Yeah, there was so many like huge names on there, and it's absolutely fun to go back and revisit it and see them in their early days and see them when they were first getting started. It's just good stuff. Good stuff, man.
Now, are you a physical collector, Anthony? Do you collect physical media, or are
I,
you?
I was more so years years back. I think maybe before I got married, and I had a little more room, and I had the bachelor pad going, and yeah, I had a nice little DVD collection. I actually still have the same collection. So, but now it's more like every now and then I'll pick up a Blu-ray and stuff. It's more just a matter that my house is covered in toys and games and Legos
Right.
and all
Right.
that good stuff. So yeah, Daddy's Blu-ray collection is gonna have to take a break for a few years.
For a few years.
That's
Have you
what.
stepped on have you actually stepped on a Lego yet?
Oh God, yeah. Absolutely. So, especially like 2, 3 in the morning, getting up to go to the bathroom or something. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's actually why a lot of the channels I check out on here through YouTube. They're like whole channels where people who they just go through and show their Blu-rays or their DVDs that they picked up, or their collectibles like statues and action figures and stuff like that. I love that stuff. I'm living vicariously to a lot of you guys, and I know you do a few of those too. When you go to you show a few of your DVDs that you got, and you mention if you've seen a movie or not, or if you're gonna watch it. I find that stuff a lot of fun. I really do. I check these videos out. I watch them. I try to comment on them too, if at all possible, just to let people know. I know that, look, I'm a YouTuber now too, so I also know that just hitting the like button and dropping a quick comment, I think it helps a lot. You know what I mean? So I try. I don't like to just watch silently. Even though I know, I guess that counts as a view.
Oh no. I mean yeah, comments are great. I mean, obviously comments are great, but knowing coming by there and seeing someone hit the button, that also helps as well. Less how it is when you come by and you see your channel and you see oh, I had like 10 thumbs up, now I have 15.
Yeah, it's very cool. And I mean, I thankfully my channel's been slowly growing. It's nowhere near where I want it to be, but for a long time, like the first, I don't know, 4 or 5, 6 months, it was a ghost town, and it was brutal. And
did you think it was because of the
honestly,
content?
I was about done with it. To be honest with you, I really was. And I don't know what there was a video. I think it was one of the Twilight Zone videos. I went back and I noticed that the view count had ticked up, and there still weren't a lot of comments, but there was a lot of views, and that was the thing that sort of inspired me. I was like, oh my goodness, a lot of people watch this thing. That's what kept me going. So that's why, like when I see other content creators, I'm happy to stop in and click like and comment or whatever.
Well, when I saw your channel, because I haven't seen anybody in our community cover the Twilight Zone like you have. And like I said, the very first thing I mentioned to you, because this blew me away. I remember watching the Twilight episode, Twilight Marathon. I think I mentioned this to you in my comment. I remember watching it on the Sci-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being blown away because I thought I saw every single episode like 20 times over, until I didn't. Until they played Death's Head Revisited,
Yeah.
and I was sitting there going like, I don't remember this at all. not once. And I'm saying I watched all the Twilight Zones,
Yeah, yeah.
and all of a sudden it's like, wow, was this like a lost episode, or and it wasn't necessarily a lost episode, but it
Yeah.
wasn't one that got played a lot.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think
And
some weren't in syndicate, like Miniature. I think there were legal issues or something, and
I
for
think it was the subject matter.
when I get around to reviewing it, I'm sure I'll bore everybody with the details. But I think Miniature was one that was out of syndication for years, so maybe. And also that was a 1 hour one. And I think whenever they would run these marathons, they didn't always run 1 hour ones. I can remember a time when I didn't know that there was this, that I think it was season 4 that had all of the 1 hour episodes.
Yeah, you played one. You played the Christmas one, and you reviewed it. Your last episode, I believe that was.
Yeah. The Christmas one was a half an hour one, but I did a Death Ship was a 1 hour episode.
Oh, really?
I
didn't.
Yeah, Night of the Meek was a regular, whatever it was, 23 minute hour episode. But that ship was an hour long. And a lot of people see, I'm gonna ramble now on Twilight Zone, and we'll be sitting in No, but yeah, there was a lot of great episodes in season 4, actually. And a lot of people don't like that season. What are your thoughts on some of those 1 hour ones? Any just curious.
I did not know that Death Ship was the one. Because I remember seeing that before. The one, is that the one with Nehemiah Pearsoff, right? Where he's the captain of the ship, and he torpedoed it, and then he was going to repeat it.
No, you might be talking about. I might be getting things mixed up, and I think you might be talking about Judgment Night. And if so, that's like a half an hour one. That ship had Jack Klugman though.
Yeah, the hour one I did. I don't remember that one. I just know the one with Nehemiah Pearsoff. That was spooky as hell. That was spooky as hell. And no matter what they did, they were doomed to repeat it over and over. It was Groundhog Day before Groundhog Day.
Yeah, it's a terror. It's actually a terrifying thought. Anything like that's a rough one. It really is.
But the reason why Death's Head Revisited caught my attention is because when I was reading about it, is that the one with Bill Mummy, it's a good thing. That came on either the week, I think it came on the week before or the week after. It came on after that. And that was like, most people will tell you the most famous Twilight Zone episode is that one.
I think it's definitely up there. I would say so. It's up there with Nightmare at 20,000 Feet and Monsters on Maple Street. There's a couple of big ones that are just living.
They did a sequel to that story in one of the remakes and one of the reboots.
It's Still a Good Life, and it was with Bill Mummy, and it was in like the 2000 series where Forrest Whitaker hosted that one.
Right.
Yeah. A lot of the 80s reboot and the 2000s one and the Jordan Peele one. I actually still have to get into a lot of that stuff. I'm still sort of slowly working my way through the classic episodes. Actually,
yeah.
So I have a lot.
Now, did you watch that? Now, are you a big anthology fan? I mean, do you watch a lot of anthology series?
My other big favorite is I'd say Black Mirror on Netflix. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that one, but that one I think definitely paid homage to Twilight Zone. I'd say there were a few episodes that really seemed to be channeling Rod Serling's writing a little bit. I'd say it was a solid series. I don't know if they're doing any new episodes, unfortunately, but it was a good little show.
I heard it was. I was thinking more they were homaging the Outer Limits, the remake of the Outer Limits.
No, what Outer Limits is a blind spot for me. I'm sure I probably saw a few years back, but that's another one I have to catch up on. I saw a few Alfred Hitchcock's Presents, and those were pretty good. I'm not sure if you're familiar with.
Yeah, I love it. Yes. I mean, they have so many great. They have so many great. Oh, yeah, Hitchcock was really good. He had a lot of Twilight Zone type of endings on his series.
Yeah,
a lot of comeuppance.
And Hitchcock is some. I'd love to cover some Hitchcock movies too at some point. When you have these channels, you start thinking of all the things you love, right? Like if it's Nightmare, like for me, if it's Nightmare on Elm Street, or Twilight Zone, obviously, or Gremlins or whatever it is, and you're just like, I have to review this or I have to review that. But there's only so much time in the day, right? And there's only so much you can actually realistically do.
Did you get into, as far as anthologies go, did you ever read any of the authors that, like some of the stories Did you ever go back and read some of the authors that actually written those stories?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, yeah, definitely in college that was a thing. But I mean, more recently, for the purposes of Twilight Zone, if I reviewed an episode and I was like, and I saw that, oh, this was adapted from a short story, I would do my best to try to check out the short story, you know, especially if it's available online, because it's fun to see the differences and see like where it came from. Like right now, I'm trying to hammer out a review for the original Fly movie from 1958, and do like a double review of the Fly remake from, you know, from the 80s with Jeff Goldblum. So and that was based on a short story that first appeared in Playboy magazine.
Right.
I didn't know that till I started looking into it, but so it's a lot of fun to see where this stuff originated from, you know.
And yeah, especially now that I know that maybe there's a lot of it out there that you're not aware of. I'm
Mhm.
thinking, oh my gosh, I feel so happy for you, Anthony, because you have a wonderful world ahead of you.
Yeah. It's been cool. A lot of it is just like discovery. You know what I mean? There's whatever I caught when I was younger, and then there's whatever I caught, you know, like somewhat recently. But then when it becomes review time, it's like, all right, let's do some research here. Let's see what this was about. Let's see if we could if I could try to offer up some fun facts and some trivia and some insight, and if I can go back to the original source and see maybe what the author or the writer had in mind, all the better. You know,
Now,
whatever
how do you,
whatever helps the review.
I mean, because you're the only one from the squad that's going back and covering these. You know, you're the only one. You're the only one I know that's seen do a retrospective on Twilight Zone. Now I know there's a couple of channels I know that do Star Wars and Star Trek. You know, the classic Star Trek. I know there's a couple of channels that do that. And but as far as Twilight Zone, you're the only one I've seen that actually do that. And I find it such a refreshing contrast to what the rest of the squad covers, which is mostly modern releases. You know, they cover what's coming up now.
Yeah, well, and each of all of those guys, shout out to the Cinema Squad, of course. They're all awesome at it. I actually would love to hear one of those guys, you know, cover an 80s movie or a 70s movie
Yeah, me too.
that would be pretty cool, you know. But at the same time, I'm a nerd for their stuff too. I'm happy. I'm always happy to pop in on their reviews of, you know, of the modern movies and the stuff that I'm checking out as well. You know, if it's the new Spider-Man movie or the new Marvel TV series, whatever it is. I think that's what's really cool about YouTube. There's room for all of us, and there's room for all types of reviews. And even if those guys or really anybody was covering Twilight Zone, we're all so unique with what we do that,
Sure.
like, it's not even competition, really. I mean,
No, not at all. No, not at all.
yeah.
But I just think to me, it's like, man, you guys cover everything. You know, like it's sort
We
of
are
nice.
covering a lot of bases. Yeah, you're right.
You
Yeah.
know,
So,
it's funny because like when I do my reviews, most of my reviews are from things people never heard of. You know, they go like, "What do
yeah,
you
but
review this?" But I
I
love that.
you meant you had a best and worst a couple of videos that I checked out recently, and some of the movies I was unfamiliar with, but I wanted to, you made me want to check them out. Or in the case of the ones where there were some bad ones that you mentioned, there were some movies that you mentioned you didn't like. You had two different lists. That made me more morbidly curious to check them out, because I'm like, I wonder how bad it is.
Or in the case of The Trees Have Eyes, it's pretty bad. You probably want to stay away from that one. But I mean, everybody has that one bad movie every year that just like, oh hell no, you know. Of course, I like giving
And
you guys.
now, Satanic Nun, you loved it or you hated it?
Oh, that was horrible. It was horrible too. It was just like, oh Lord have mercy, what am I watching here? But there I go, you know, because you know the thing is though, it's like nobody gets no, it'll probably never get any love other than what I just did. You know, it's very rare that you see people just go out there out of their way to cover a really bad movie. And you know what though? But it's really cool, even if it is not a good review. It's just like Twilight Zone. It's like you know, not only and in a way you've actually inspired me because I have yet to do that. I have never covered a series from a multi-season series. I've never done a retrospective, but I thought, well, hell, I mean, if Anthony can do the Twilight Zone, and that's like hundreds of, I think over 100 episodes,
$156.
why can't I do 32? So
Yeah, and you could take, look, Lord knows I'm taking my time with it. I don't know how many I've done so far, like maybe 20 or so. So you know, like, once a month if I'm lucky, and then I try to mix it up and do a movie review if at all possible. There were a couple tags a while back, and I was happy to do those as well. But yeah, no, doing a series, I would watch the heck out of that if if you pick something and heck, if you did Twilight Zone, I'd check it out. I think that would be
Oh
awesome.
my god! You know what I would
Even
love
if
to
it was
get?
just a
But
list of your
unfortunately,
favorite episodes or something,
you know, my favorite anthology of series is the Outer Limits remake. Oh,
When was that, the 80s though? When was the Outer Limits remake though?
80s. It came out in the 90s. Came out in the 90s into the
Okay.
2000s.
Amazing Stories, I remember a bit too. Now that you mention it.
Yes, they Black Mirror basically lifted a lot of their stories.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I was reading some of some of the Black Mirror, and the synopsis, and they're like, oh yeah, I know this story. They got that from the Outer Limits.
Oh,
Like
geez.
that's okay though,
Well,
imitation's the sincerest form of flattery, right?
yeah, I mean, I gotta now you have me curious about it, because I'm wondering, like, is it a case where they just lifted the story? Did they at least offer up credit, or is it a case where they just there's a short story and they bought the rights and they adapted it or something?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. I mean, it's like, do they tweak it just enough to put their own little spin on it? So, but I mean, I've seen, like I said, I read the synopsis and like, I know that story. I've seen that story.
Yeah.
I used to stay up I mean, that was my Star Trek Outer Limits overnight. That was mine, was Outer Limits. I sit there and watch
get into that show. I really do. Yeah.
Oh my God. Now the original series came out in the 50s, but it's a little bit more the 50s sensibilities. It's more like a lot of monsters and stuff like that. It wasn't quite as, to me, as I'm sure people might agree or disagree, but it's not nearly as refined as Twilight Zone was. Twilight Zone and the Outer Limits remake are hand in hand. They really work. Except the Outer Limits remake had a lot more action to it.
Okay.
But some of those stories there, man, they just stay with you, man. It's like Twilight Zone, like some of the ones like that stay with you. Instantly, someone says, "Oh, do you ever see a show called Twilight Zone?" Oh yeah, I know that one instantly. It's not even one of those things where it's like, well, I don't think so. But yeah, I just I love anthologies. I think they're a lot of fun. The only thing is, they have not released the Outer Limits remake. They have not gotten it down right as far as giving it a proper release.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the only
important. In this day and age, you just feel like, come on. I mean, the last I heard, Blu-rays are doing well again, right? And that market is doing well, especially during the pandemic. I mean, maybe more, obviously, I guess maybe more people were home, more people were watching movies. That's a good thing. But yeah, it's always sad to hear that when there's this classic series that's just, it's not, you can't find it. There's a few cases of that. I know for a lot of years, the Batman from the 60s. That took a while to. It's on, and now it's available. Thankfully, I have the DVD box set myself. But that took a while for them. I think it was a rights issue. Maybe a few different companies owned the rights. Or something. There's always some nonsense. But we as fans, we're the ones who are on the sidelines, hoping and praying for it.
What kind of responses do you get when what kind of responses did you get that encouraged you to keep going on with your series?
In the comment, it wasn't even always just, oh, the numbers are okay. It was more just every now and then there would just be a really genuine comment. They're all still there. I mean, all the comments are there. Anybody's welcome to go check them out. Where like it's just a regular comment where somebody would say something along the lines of like, "I grew up with this show. It's great hearing a fresh take on it," or something like that. "Thank you for covering this." And I'm a fan, or I'm a new sub, and or anything along the lines of like, I'm binge watching these now. It's just like, oh, thank God, that's awesome. But it's also, it's good because maybe I just I reintroduce somebody to something that maybe they forgot they loved so much. I think that's a good thing.
I agree. It's a good thing, Anthony.
And I don't do many good. No, that's not.
Now, are you gonna just try? You have the complete series at home already? You own the complete Twilight Zone series?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I have the DVDs, so I'm a little behind on the times. So but I have to update to, I have to upgrade to the Blu-ray set. But yeah, I have them here, and this, I tend to just for convenience, I tend to pop on Paramount Plus and just stream them. But
Right.
for purposes of just if I'm reviewing it, I'll probably watch it one or two times,
I
try
was
to
gonna say,
really wrap my head around it so I can catch as many details as possible.
how do you
Um,
build it? How long does it take for you to build an episode or do your review
um,
of the episode that you're
of
covering?
any given for more specifically for Twilight Zone. Um, let's see. I'll watch the show. It might be like just a long story short. It might end up being about like a week or so. But to be fair, it's because it's a lot of on and off. Lately, I'm slow as heck when it comes to writing and the script. So I'll write a bit and I zone out. No pun intended. And I'm like I don't know. I mean the breakdown portion of the episode is usually a bit easy. I if anybody has seen my reviews, they know that I tend to do a breakdown first of the episode just to maybe serve as a refresher, and then go a little bit more into the review and trivia portion. But yeah, I'd say maybe about a week or so. But yeah, that writing part, for whatever reason, lately I'm having some difficulty with that, and then sometimes the editing. I'm back to liking that again, and I enjoy editing, but sometimes I enjoy it a bit too much, and I'm like, oh, do I want to insert a stupid joke here, or do I not want to insert a stupid joke? Because Twilight Zone's another tricky thing where like I might have humor or a joke I want to say, and I don't know if it's appropriate or not. There are a few episodes even where I swear every now and then, and sometimes and there are a few Twilight Zone reviews where I swear a bit. It's a casual swearing. It's not like I go off like I'm drunk and in a bar, but it'll be like casual swearing. And then I thought to myself, I'm like, I don't know if swearing is is appropriate in a review. I don't know, so like there's a
I
there's
I
some,
I just cut loose. I mean, it's like
yeah,
it's not like no one's it's like
yeah.
no one's gonna come over and just give me money for what I'm saying. Hey, I want you to review our product here. Here's a stack of cash. Just make it family friendly. No one's offering me that. And so
I hear that side of it too. Just do your thing, and Lord knows, I mean, this is the internet, so you get every you can see anything, within a few clicks. So why? I mean, maybe that might be because I'm like a family guy now, so maybe there is a little bit in me that I'm thinking like, oh, you know what, my son might check out this episode. I don't know if I want to hear. Maybe he doesn't have to hear daddy swearing.
now, how does it work? I mean, now was your Twilight Zone retrospective going on before you met the fellas from the Cinema Squad, or was this something you guys came together about
Oh
and you
no,
guys?
it was long before that. I started my channel doing the Twilight Zone reviews and Star Wars fan edits, and that's mostly what I wanted my channel to be when it started was Star Wars fan edits. And that kind of like I don't know. I
What's the
just
fan? Was it
What
that
was that?
be what's a
Oh,
fan?
it might just mean like where I would like I'm a like I love Star Wars, so there might be a scene that I might tweak or adjust or alter the music or something like that just for the fun of it. Which arguably might not be a good thing to certain fans. So I did a few of those, but it was the Twilight Zone reviews, and one early horror review I did was for the movie House. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so that was another early review. But yeah, that was a bit before the Cinema Squad. The Cinema Squad came along because as I was making videos, I ended up just checking out those guys' channels, and that's how I kind of became cool with them and became friends with them. Just along the way, they were doing their thing. Sean and Joe and Jace and just everybody there. I just stumbled into their channels and I liked them and would comment and we'd go back and forth. And then along the way, we just became like super, really friendly and like as things go. So that's how it happened.
I like you guys' composition. Uh, I mean, I know things are going on. You guys are supposed to be reuniting here pretty soon.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. There's a thing. I just put it up on Instagram. The Ducky Awards. We're shooting to do that in February. So some fun stuff. I'm not always able, unfortunately, totally on me, but I'm not always able to participate as much as I'd love to. I would love to be doing streams all the time, and especially especially with those guys, and with more people in general, and with more people such as yourself. It's a little tough to do it at the moment for me.
Sure.
But,
You got obligations. Yeah, it's not a full time thing. I understand. I like to do a little bit more. I like for my content to be better too. It just, it is what it is. And just. But I like the squad. I really, really do like the fact that you have your firm foot put firmly in the back. It's cool that everybody else is doing what you're doing, but you still got that foot in the back, in the past, me being an older fan, I really appreciate that, and I really appreciate the time you take to go out there and cover the show like that. And I just think that I'm looking forward to truly looking forward to for you to continue. What are five series that, if you had a chance to do a retrospective on from top to finish, what are five series would you like to cover in that way, if you had the time and the inclination to do so?
I would say, I feel like the original Star Trek would be good. It's tough to even say just five, so I'm just gonna rattle off a whole bunch of them.
Sure.
I think the original Star Trek. I think Star Trek: The Next Generation was an incredible show as well. Sopranos was really good. Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, which is just about to finish its last season, is an excellent show as well. So those, I think, those are my top ones off the top of my head.
What's your favorite Star Trek series?
Geez, that's a tough one, because it's like Kirk versus Picard, right? I don't know. I might lean toward the classic series, but I guess just because Next Generation ran for so long and had so many more seasons, I feel like it ended up with more, really great episodes. So I don't know. That's a tough question. That's a tough one. I don't know. I guess I'd probably lean toward the classic series, or I don't know if I could do a cop out and make it a tie.
Sure. I personally, I love Deep Space Nine. I thought Deep Space Nine it was cool. I always enjoyed that one. Probably because I was a big Avery Brooks fan. He was my favorite captain. Captain Sisko, he was my favorite captain.
Were you into Voyager at all?
It's funny you mention that, because a friend of mine left me a collection. It was a Star Trek fan collection. It was the Borg, episodes of the Borg. And so there's a lot of Borg episodes in the Voyager, especially toward the last.
They went back to the well on that one, huh?
Yeah. It worked though, because it did work, and I enjoyed it a little bit more than I remembered. I never was a Janeway fan though. For the life of me, as much as I wanted to, I just never was a Janeway fan. I just didn't like Kate Mulgrew. But I liked everybody else.
She was the wife of Columbo,
Yeah, it's Mrs. Columbo. That's right. Ran for a year. Yeah, she looked the same then too. She was supposed to be like.
I'm talking crap, but that's Talk about a bad idea.
So you would like to do the Star Trek ones? Yep.
I definitely at least those two shows. And some of the newer series, actually, I'm still unfamiliar with. I have to make use of that Paramount Plus though, and check out the newest Star Trek show, which I know that there's some mixed reactions on it. But the new Star Trek series and Picard.
Yeah, the Discovery and Picard.
Yeah. But I know there's been mixed reviews, but I want to check them out anyway.
Yeah, I heard that too. I saw the last episode of Picard, and it showed Riker showing up with this tremendously, cookie cutter fleet. Every ship looked the exact same. It's like, okay, this is some laziness right here. Some bullshit. Some bullshit right here. Especially so close after the Dominion War, how do you write your stuff by yourself, or do you ever collaborate with anybody? Is there any other Twilight Zone fans out there that you connect with, and you guys talk about it? Any other? series?
it's just this is I'm very happy to talk to you now because it's another human being I'm talking to about Twilight Zone. It's always just me. It's the script, the editing, and the any little bits of maybe my own little music from the past that I'll reuse for the safety so YouTube doesn't murder me with copyrights and stuff like that. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, that it's all me. And then from there, it's just whoever happens to hit me up in the comment section. And over the last few months, thankfully, there's been some cool people I've gotten friendly with in the comment section that are popping in there with some really insightful things. And I love that, when somebody comes into the comment section and they have their own theories. And I know I mentioned it earlier, but that's a pleasure. I'm more than happy to talk to fellow Twilight Zone fans. I'm on Reddit as well. I found a Twilight Zone spot on Reddit where there's some fans there, but that's about it for the connections. And as far as the episodes go, it's pretty much all me. Lately, I've been trying to do a thing because they allow me, YouTube allows me to do the community section now. So I figure, you know what? Let me post a poll and try to get people engaged, and I'll throw up 3, 4, 5 episodes and ask people which episode would you like me to cover next? And
Right. Yeah.
vote on it.
I voted for that. I voted for 22.
Hey, all right. So there you go. You won. The current one up there right now. It dawned on me I haven't covered any episodes on time travel, and there was a ton of episodes with some sort of time travel element. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna do time travel episodes. And then I checked that out, and turns out there's I don't know, there's maybe at least 10 or more episodes that have some element of time travel. So I just narrowed it down to 5. I think you're only allowed to even post 5.
So where are you at number wise as far as your channel? So you must have just crossed 500 then.
What do you mean for the sub count? You mean?
Yeah,
I think it's thank God it's a little over 800 at the moment.
Oh, 800. Yeah, okay.
So, it's I could see the finish line, but it's not really the finish line, but I could sort of see it. And it dips. It's a little up, a little down here and there, but thankfully it's a slow progression. It's moving slowly. It's ticking up.
Yeah, and you only been on for, you said, about a year.
Yeah, well, a little more than a year now. I think I think this coming August will be 2 years. So there you go.
Okay.
Plug me away.
Wow. No. Yeah. No. I see it. So what are you working on next? I mean, you mentioned you're going to try to do some other reviews. So what do you got cooking up?
Well, as far as that poll goes, it looks like the next episode is probably going to be Walking Distance, which is really cool. It's one of my favorites as well for Twilight. What was that?
Is that the one with Cliff Robertson?
No, Cliff Robertson isn't in that one. I forget the lead actor's name, but it's an episode where the guy he ends up going back to the past and seeing himself as a child, and it's okay. It's definitely one of the more sentimental ones. It's a memorable one. It's one of my favorites. So if that's where that goes, that'll be cool. We'll see what I'm sticking with it. Wherever people vote for it, that's what I'll do. I've done it twice now, and it's been okay. As far as movie reviews, I've been on and off working on a review for The Fly for the last couple of months now. I'm having.
Do you like doing older? Do you think that's your wheelhouse?
It seems to be, yeah. Well, a while back I covered *Malignant*, and that was a lot of fun actually, because that came out just somewhat recently, so it was nice. That's a good thing to just pop in there every now and then, I think, and surprise people like, hey, look at this! I'm reviewing a movie that actually came out this year.
That's true. That is true.
That for me is something different.
I have to tell people all the time on my disclaimer, the top 20 films or top 15 films. It's like, this isn't going to be the top 15 films of this calendar year. This is the top 15 films period that I watch.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay. What do you mean The Thin Man? That's like 1942, dude. What's up with that? It's like, yeah, well, that's
wait a minute, Taxi Driver. I could swear that was from the 70s.
I mean, I love talking about the old black and whites and some of the old classics. I covered and I love the foreign films too. In 2020, my number one film was a film from the Netherlands called We.
Okay.
This fantastic movie. Freaking fantastic.
Check it out.
And, fantastic movie and one that will stay with you for a long time. But yeah, I like foreign films as well. So I mean, that's another thing. Some people cover it, some people don't. But Who are some of the favorite? Who are some of your favorite stars that you look for when you watch the Zone or some of the older series? Do you have certain stars that stay with you, or like some of your favorites?
Oh, easily. Burgess Meredith was a big one. William Shatner, definitely. Jack Klugman was great. And Cliff Robertson, who showed up in two of them, The Dummy, and um, I think it's 100 yards over the rim.
Yeah.
Uh, and I when I did a review of The Dummy, this was a thing that was new to me. I didn't know that he was the same actor who played Uncle Ben in the Spider-Man movie. That was a little bit of
How fun was that?
yeah, it's a
Isn't
little
it
bit of
fun
a
to
fun.
discover all
I,
that?
I, if I can tie something together, then I'm more than happy. If it's a nerdy comic book reference or a Marvel movie reference, that's fine. It's like I'd be more than I'm ready to just start making stuff up. This guy played Captain America. No, I won't.
No, you know what? I think a lot of the younger fans, that don't know these things, they don't know about Cliff. Most of the people that don't remember that, or it's all they remember. They'll remember, oh, that's Uncle Ben right there, and it's like,
Yeah, yeah,
okay, well, before that, he was also John F. Kennedy.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
He did a great movie called PT 109.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, and which I reviewed. Um, product placement. Yeah, PT
Do
109
your
was
thing.
that was a staple movie. It used to come on at 3:30. They used to show that son of a bitch like once every 4 weeks. PT 109 because it's 90 minutes to fit the format.
Yeah.
But it's a great it's a yeah to sit there and watch some of your favorites in this situation. I mean, I
Well,
guess
in the
that's where
case
you
of,
really
I'm sorry,
did
you go.
uh, I mean, that's where you really got the idea, like, your favorite actors. Before it'd be like favorite shows, but then you watch certain actors, all
Mhm.
of a sudden you find yourself like, okay, what else do they do?
Yeah,
Like you turn it over and like, we're just Meredith. What else did he do
yeah.
besides the Twilight Zone?
That's what I was gonna say. I grew up with Burgess Meredith as just Mickey from Rocky. So that was pretty cool. But then like yeah, he was Time Enough at Last is again another huge episode for Twilight
Oh my
Zone. He was in four of them actually, Burgess Meredith. So yeah, but yeah, I mostly knew him as Mickey from Rocky.
Right, right. Yeah, that's right. A lot of people don't know, but people don't know that he did actually four very classic episodes of the Twilight Zone. Um, how important is it for you for the writing? Because we got to talk about Rod Serling. I mean, how far ahead of him I mean, he was so ahead of his time. I mean, even now, seriously, is there anybody right now writing as good as he is?
I
And like,
I at that level and I'm not sure. I'm hard pressed to think of someone. I mean, maybe. I mean, to be fair to the modern generation, maybe. But he was just so ahead of his time. He was so progressive in so many of his views, and he had it. He had an idea of how he wanted the world to be, but he had a lot of baggage. I've read up on his. He was in the military, and he's seen some awful nightmarish stuff in his life, but that informed his writing, and he was an interesting guy. No, I mean, to answer your question, I don't know that there is do we have a modern equivalent?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I know that Jordan Peele's a huge fan, but I don't know if
And I'm a
Jordan.
fan of Jordan Peele himself, so
I don't know if his pen is as
yeah.
good as Rod Serling's. Did you ever watch Night Gallery? That's the last series he
That's
did.
another one. No, I have to catch up on that one. So yeah, it's surprisingly, yeah, that's another one, and that might be another series. Like some of these things are pretty big, like Outer Limits you've mentioned, and Night Gallery is a huge one. That might be fun because that would be totally fresh for me. Like whereas most of these Twilight Zones I've seen on and off and repeatedly throughout the years, so there's always a little bit of familiarity when I go back and review them. But something like Night Gallery,
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I did not know that. I had actually thought that you had already watched all these. I did not know that there's some that you haven't been exposed to yet. I'm
Oh,
going like,
there's even a few
oh
of them.
my gosh, just
Well, I hate to say it, but there's even one Twilight Zone written by Rod Serling, the episode "The Bard," and that's a they weren't all winners. Let's just say, and that one's a rough one to get through for me. I'm not the biggest fan of that episode, but at the same time, I really hate to. I don't want to be the guy to crap too much on anything, especially when it comes to Twilight Zone, because it could be the next guy's favorite episode, and I don't want to be the one putting it down
oh,
too.
Oh my gosh, I can't honestly. I would be really hard pressed, Anthony. I'd be really hard pressed to name, you know, 10 bad episodes. Like 10 is just like, oh, this is some bullshit.
Yeah.
I would be hard pressed to name 10 really bad Twilight Zone episodes.
Yeah, a lot of
Um,
the ones I've covered so far, and they've been mostly positive. I think the most negative I've gotten was on Cavender is Coming. That was, their comedy episodes are the ones that people tend to crap on, right?
yeah,
But even in that case, I found something of value in that episode. I thought that it had some kind of charm, and I would still recommend it to people. Wasn't my favorite per se, but I'd still recommend people check it out. I mean, at the very least, for Carol Burnett, I thought she was pretty good in
yeah,
that. She did her
yeah,
thing, and
very
that's
fun.
her. I think a little bit before she made it big again.
I think a lot of people will be surprised to see how many of these artists cut their teeth on these type of shows from the 50s and 60s. I mean, Betty White passed away this week, right? And then I think people will be really surprised to find out that Betty White, she was doing a talk show host. She was hosting her own shows back in the 50s, way
Yeah,
before anybody else was doing it. People just think her as from the Golden Girls. It's like, oh no, you got to go way back there. She popped up in a lot of different places,
yeah,
um, and did some of her best work. I mean, some of her strongest work she did, and we don't get to see it that much anymore. One, because I mean, other than maybe Mill Creek tends to put out some of the older classics,
okay,
and they sell them. And that's a good place to go. I mean, you can get old series real cheap from them,
okay.
but you have to hunt for those. But as far as like just like I've been out collecting for a long time, and I have yet to see anybody donate any Twilight Zone.
Mm,
Have seen anybody donate any Star Trek the original series. Haven't
yeah.
seen anybody donate that. I think people hold on to quality.
Yeah, I
You
think you're right.
know,
I mean, in my comment section, sometimes I'll see people mention, "Oh boy, I haven't seen a show in a while," or "It's hard to get a hold of." And why is it hard to get a hold of? Maybe and it's hard to get a hold of because maybe it's not on TV as much. If people haven't quite cut the cord, and it's maybe tough to find streaming, and maybe not everybody's streaming. That's not for everybody per se. Not everybody
no,
has that extra money per month to knock out on 50 million streaming services.
right. Um, I believe you said you had another show, right? You have another interview tonight, right?
Oh yeah, coming up with Berja Rokar. People can check out his channel. We're gonna be just shooting the Sith on
Oh,
Star
okay. It's
Wars.
like sort of like a miniature Cinema Squad reunion.
Yeah, yeah. Boba Fett is on right now, so we'll see. We're just gonna fly with it. We'll see what we have to talk about. Bad Batch was out recently. There's always when it comes to Star Wars.
Uh,
There's
well, let me ask you this. I still got you like for another 10 minutes here or so before I let you go. But who do you like in the Oscar race?
oh God, I feel so bad. This is one of the things I'm totally out of the loop with.
Me too. Me too, Anthony.
I am. I was gonna be honest
See,
with you.
I feel like I'm talking to a real peer here because it's like,
Um,
dude, I had no idea.
Now, years back, I was into that, and to be fair, I get the appeal of it. I'd be lying if I could tell you who's. I put up a bunch of pictures tonight on voting, for best picture and best this and best that and best actor, but it's not something that I follow as maybe as much as I should, but I'm just
Well,
being
I,
honest
I
with
just
it.
look, I just look at it this way: as long as it's ABD, I'm all right. As long as it's not anybody but Frances McDormand, anybody but her, it's fine with for me. Yeah, it really sucked last year. The politics about Oscars and the awards winners, the Oscar winners, it just sucks. It really sucks. Last year, I think some of you people might have heard this story, but I'm going to tell it again because I just am. But last year we had the pandemic, and nobody putting anything in all in the theater at all. And of course, my company came over and dropped off some great movies. And I actually thought that one movie would actually be nominated, and I thought the actress would be nominated for an award. They were the only thing showing. No, no, nothing. No consideration, no nomination, no shit. Because it was a small company, and no, it's like, oh, we got to put these big names out there. And it's like, wow, it was just it sours me. Award shows just sour me because it's all politics.
Yeah.
It's all about who could afford to go out there and pay for the plane flying across the sky.
From what I could
Hi,
see,
Frostbite.
that seems to be the case.
Paul here. I believe that's his name, Paul. Yep. Thank you guys for all showing up. Yeah, I don't know if you guys are going to do the awards show or not. I just know that I do like to see which movies they're going to pick for the worst.
Yeah.
But I just think
I definitely want to try to do that stream if I can. So I want to be on there. I sometimes it's fun being the guy completely out of place and not knowing what's going on.
I can't wait to see what you have to say.
It's
I'm going to go ahead.
I don't really have any skin in the game, and skin in the game is, I believe, is the expression. It's just like, well, whoever wins. Hey, there's John showing up.
Hey, John, how are you? John going to be a father real soon. Yeah. Congratulations, John. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, the award shows. I mean, they're just all the fixes in, so they speak. So to speak.
But at the same time, I get the appeal. I get the excitement of it. You're rooting for your you're rooting for your favorite. I get that aspect of it. I could see it. I could see myself getting back into it. Even like years back, I was into it. I'd sit and I'd watch the award shows with my wife, and we who's gonna win, who's not gonna win, and you get mad. When your favorite didn't win your favorite movie or your favorite actor or whatever.
All I gotta say is that Lamb better not show up at all on any ballots. That's all.
How about Satanic Nun? Would you?
What I'd like to see, though. I think it's too late to get a crack at it. But it's another movie that I think deserves to take a look at. I'd like to see a movie. I'd like to see a movie like Saint Maud to get a shot.
Yeah,
that's right. I said Saint Maud. I can hear some of these people falling out of their chairs. I'd like to see movie. I'd like to see movies like that get a fair shot. But they never will. Well, that's why they got. No, it's just. I mean, think about this year as far as good movies go. Quality movies that really stand up. I mean, there are a few. There are a few out there, but it's just. I'm afraid you're gonna see some of the same old. Yeah. You're gonna see some of the same old faces. It's like, wow, okay. Look, I like Othello as much as anybody else, but just because Joe Cohan did a Othello, on a lot does not make it an art or make it any better than some of the movies that were on much smaller budgets.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't. I don't know. That's just me. But listen, I'm going to let you go. I want to wrap this up because I want you to have some time off before you go on the other stream. I do want to thank you so much, though, Anthony.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. I'd love to do it.
Oh yeah, we will be doing it again. I rest assured. When I start my series, I'll probably be having you come on there and we'll talk about that. Just so you can tell me I'm doing it right.
Oh, you're doing an excellent job. This has been a blast. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and thank you everybody I see in the comment section who showed up. You guys are awesome. I see a lot of friendly names there.
Thank you so much for showing up and supporting us here. We will see you tomorrow night for Elaine Huntington. She'll be here. She was a star and producer. One of my favorite cult films, Shark Exorcist. She'll be here tomorrow night to talk about possessed sharks. You got to be here for that, right? All right. For you folks, if you're new here to the channel, please consider giving me a sub. That would be awesome if you guys could do that. I'm only 4 away from 500. That means I get a community tab as well, and that's really what I want. A community tab will change a lot. It changes the playing field for us tubers, small tubers. Otherwise, leave a comment below. Tell us what you think of tonight's episode. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll see you tomorrow night. All right. Peace. Hang on right where you're at.